Dallas, a group game against Austria at this World Cup. A 30-year-old man who has already won everything the sport can give, steps up, takes a pass on his left foot and finishes low past the goalkeeper. It is his 17th World Cup goal, and with it, Lionel Messi passes a record that had stood since 2014 and becomes the highest goal scorer in the history of the Men's World Cup. No man in nearly a century of this tournament has ever scored more. Here's the part that should stop you. He didn't even need it. He'd already lifted the trophy in 2022. He had nothing left to prove to anyone, and he's doing this at an age when almost every great footballer who ever lived was long retired. This isn't a story about a young genius arriving. It's a story about a man who refused to leave, and about what that refusal cost and what it was worth. Let's start with what actually happened at this tournament, because the scale of it is easy to miss in the noise. Messi opened Argentina's title defence against Algeria with a hat-trick, 3 goals. At 38 years old, that made him the oldest man ever to score a hat-trick at a World Cup, a record that had belonged to Cristiano Ronaldo. It also drew him level with Miroslav Klose's all-time mark of 16 World Cup goals, a record most people assumed would stand for a generation. Then, against Austria, he broke it, scoring twice to move clear at the very top of the list. And he wasn't finished. He came off the bench against Jordan and curled in a free kick for his 19th World Cup goal. 19. He's now the leading scorer in the history of the Men's World Cup, and he's scored in 6 consecutive World Cup matches, something only 2 players in the tournament's entire history had ever done before him. But the number isn't the story. The number is just the evidence. The story is the man behind it and why he was still there to score them at all. Because there's a version of this where none of it happens. 10 years ago, Messi walks out of a locker room after losing another final with Argentina, visibly shaken, and said it was over. He was done with the national team. He'd been beaten, criticised, misunderstood in his own country. A player some Argentines saw as too European, too quiet, not one of them. The weight of a nation that worshipped Diego Maradona and demanded another one had nearly broken him. He could have walked away right then, kept his club greatness and let the international dream go. He came back. He won the Copa America in 2021. He won the World Cup in 2022, finally, at 35 years old. And here's the choice that defines this chapter of his life. Having got the one thing that had always escaped him, having completed the story perfectly, he kept playing. He came back for a 6th World Cup at an age when the body is supposed to have nothing left, still carrying the whole team, still scoring every goal that matters. At this tournament, he has scored all of Argentina's goals himself, not most, all of them. And it's worth understanding that this was not a man in a victory lap. He turned 39 during this World Cup. He arrived carrying a hamstring problem and hadn't even fully committed to playing until close to the last moment. And there was something heavier than any injury. After his tearful celebration against Algeria, it emerged that his father was back home recovering from a health issue. This is a man playing the tournament of his life while 39 years old, physically compromised and privately worried about his family. That's the part the highlight reels leave out. We see the free kick and the record and the roaring crowd and we assume it comes easy to someone like him. It doesn't. His own teammates said it plainly, that anyone who thought the group was better off without him had just been proven wrong. That he was the most important of them all. Greatness at 39 isn't the same gift he had at 19. At 19 it's talent. At 39 it's a decision, made every single morning, to keep paying a price the body is begging you to stop paying. And there's the detail that turns this from a great sports story into something close to poetry. Messi broke that scoring record almost exactly 40 years after Diego Maradona's hand of God against England. The goal and the tournament that made Maradona a god in Argentina and hung a weight around the neck of every Argentine number 10 who came after him. For years, that weight was Messi's curse. He was the man asked to be the next Maradona in a country that never quite let him be himself. Now look where he is. 40 years on from Maradona's masterpiece, Messi stands alone as the highest scorer the World Cup has ever seen. No longer the next anyone, but the most decorated tournament footballer in history in his own right. He didn't escape the comparison by running from it. He escaped it by outlasting everyone and quietly rewriting the record book while the world was busy debating whether he belonged in the conversation at all. So what are we actually watching in these final weeks of this World Cup? We're watching the closing act of maybe the longest peak in the history of the sport. Whatever happens between now and the final on the 19th of July, whether Argentina defend their title or fall short, the record is already set. And it was set the hard way, by a man who'd already won, who could have walked away with the perfect ending, and chose instead to come back one more time and keep scoring at an age when he had every excuse not to. 19 World Cup goals, 6 tournaments, 39 years old, with an aching body and a worried heart, still dragging his country forward. That's not the story of a natural coasting on a gift. It's the story of the last, longest chapter of someone who simply would not stop, and we get to watch the end of it, live, right now.